My parents gave my business idea to my cousin, so I launched it first, got press coverage, and watched them regret their loyalty in real time. I'm a 22-year-old guy, and I've always wanted to build something of my own. Not for the money, not even for the recognition. I just wanted to prove to myself mostly that I could take an idea and turn it into something real. I grew up in a family where success was something other people did. My parents are good people, but they've always had this unspoken belief that stability is safer than ambition. Zane, my older cousin, was the exception. They worship him. Corporate job. MBA. Drives a Lexus. At every family dinner, it's Zane just got promoted. Or Zane's company gave him a bonus trip to Dubai. I smiled through it, but deep down, it always stung. Then one night in my tiny apartment, after weeks of brainstorming and whiteboarding, I cracked something. An idea that felt different. A sustainable, low-cost urban gardening, kit-stylish, affordable, and designed for people stuck in tiny apartments like mine. I mocked up a prototype with cardboard and watched YouTube tutorials on branding. The more I built, the more excited I got. It wasn't just a product. It was a solution. A mission. I remember the night I told my parents. We were eating takeout on the living room floor and I couldn't hold it in. I shared the idea, showed them sketches, even talked about supplier options. I expected hesitation, sure, but also maybe a little pride. Instead, my dad blinked and said, "That's nice. You know who might be able to help? Zane. He has experience with product stuff." That stung. But I brushed it off. Maybe they just didn't get it yet. Maybe once I showed them more, they'd come around. What I didn't realize was they had already shown it to Zane, and everything was about to change. It happened on a random Thursday evening, the kind of night you don't expect your world to shift. I came home early from my part-time job, ready to work on the prototype, when I heard my mom's voice from the living room. She was on speakerphone, laughing softly. "Yeah, it's this little home gardening kit idea he's been playing with. I told you, Zane, you'd know what to do with it. He's creative, but he doesn't really follow through." I froze. My own mother was pitching my idea to my cousin. I stood in the hallway, my hands trembling, every word slicing deeper. Zane's smooth, confident voice echoed through the phone. "Yeah, I can probably refine it. Maybe make it more marketable. Tell him not to worry about a tile. Take it from here. Take it from here." That line hit me like a gut punch. I walked in, my voice shaking. "Mom, what are you doing?" She jumped like she'd seen a ghost. "Oh, honey, it's not what you think. Zane was just giving advice. I snapped. "You told him everything. You gave away my entire idea." My dad came in from the kitchen, frowning. "Lower your voice. It's not a big deal. Zane just has more experience. Maybe he can help make it successful." That word help made my stomach twist. It wasn't help. It was theft with permission. I stormed out before I said something I'd regret. But that night, sitting alone in my car, the betrayal sank in. These weren't strangers. These were the people who were supposed to believe in me. I stared at my reflection in the rearview mirror and said out loud, "They think I'm not capable. Fine, I'll show them exactly what I can do." I didn't know it yet. But the war for my idea had just begun. 2 weeks later, I woke up to a notification on Instagram. Zane had posted something new, a slick promotional photo with the caption, "Excited to announce my new startup. Greenies bringing sustainable urban gardening to every home." I froze. My heart sank into my stomach. My idea. My concept. My exact tagline. The logo was polished. The packaging looked professional, almost identical to my prototype sketches, except with a shiny logo and Zane's smug grin in the corner. Comments flooded in. So innovative. "You're a genius, bro. Can't wait to try it." It felt like I was watching someone else live the dream. I'd spent months building in silence. I confronted my parents that night. "Did you see what he posted?" My mom sighed, not meeting my eyes. "Honey, Zane just moved faster. You can still be involved if you want. He even said you could design the boxes." "Design the boxes?" That was their version of support, handing me scraps from my own creation. I don't want to be his employee. But I said quietly. It was my idea. My dad crossed his arms. Then next time, protect it better. That line shattered something in me. They didn't care who was right. They just wanted to side with the successful one. That night, I opened my laptop and stared at the blank screen. I felt the rage boil under my ribs, hot, heavy, unstoppable. If they thought I'd give up, they didn't know me at all, so I registered a new domain, bought my own logo design software, rebuilt everything from scratch under a new name. I didn't have investors or family support, but I had something stronger, the fury of being underestimated, and that was about to become my fuel. For the next 6 weeks, I barely slept. My room looked like a war zone, shipping boxes stacked in corners, sticky notes on every surface. My laptop overheating on a pillow while I juggled design mock-ups and late-night supplier calls. I renamed everything. New brand, new packaging, new website. But the soul of the idea, that stayed mine. And I wasn't going to let them steal that too. I spent hours watching tutorials on Shopify, branding psychology, and social media growth. My savings? Gone poured into product samples, printing labels, and paying a freelancer to design my landing page. I maxed out my credit card, ordering the first batch of inventory. My hands shook when the boxes finally arrived. I tore them open like it was Christmas morning and panic attack wrapped in one. They weren't perfect, but they were mine. The night before launch, I sat in the dark, staring at my laptop screen. I kept hearing Zane's voice. Execution is everything. Fine. Let's see how well I can execute without rich parents or LinkedIn connections. I launched with zero fanfare. Just a simple TikTok video showing my product, my story, and my face, raw, unpolished, but real. And people listened. They commented. They shared. Orders started trickling in that first hour, then more, then more. 12 hours later, I had sold out the entire first batch. I sat on the floor in my box-strewn room, the glow of the Shopify dashboard reflecting on my face like firelight. I should have felt euphoric, but I didn't. I felt quiet, sharp, focused. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about proving that I didn't need their approval. I just needed a chance. And now that I had it, I wasn't letting go. A few days later, I got the invitation. Family dinner at my aunt's place. Zane would be there, of course. My parents insisted I come, said it would look bad if I skipped. I almost laughed at that. Look bad to who? The people who had already buried me behind Zane's spotlight? I went anyway. Partly out of curiosity, mostly out of spite. The moment I walked in, I could feel the energy shift. Zane was already holding court in the living room. Dressed like he was prepping for a TED Talk, he was telling the story of his startup journey, hands gesturing like he'd invented oxygen. When he saw me, he smirked. Heard you've been doing some entrepreneur stuff too, huh? I nodded, keeping it cool. Yeah. Launched last week. He raised an eyebrow. That fast? I smiled. Sold out in 12 hours. The room went quiet. For just a beat. Then someone laughed nervously and changed the subject. Dinner was worse. My parents kept gushing about Zane's business instincts, how proud the family was. My mom even said loud enough for everyone to hear, Zane's always been the one with vision. I stabbed at my mashed potatoes like they owed me an apology, but I didn't lose it. I just kept smiling, calm, composed, calculated, because now I had something none of them could see yet, momentum, as dessert was served. Zane leaned over and whispered, just don't burn out, all right? It's easy to get excited at the beginning. I looked him dead in the eye. Appreciate the advice. But I'm not just excited. I'm ready. He didn't respond. Just sat back with that uneasy look people get when they realize they might have. Underestimated the quiet one. I didn't say anything more. I didn't need to. The real storm hadn't even started yet, 2 weeks after launch. I was still packing boxes out of my bedroom when the email came in. Subject line: We'd love to feature your story, Urban Green blog. At first I thought it was a scam. some clickbait PR trap. But then I saw the name Clara Lunja, verified journalist with a legit following in the eco-living space. She said she'd seen my TikTok, loved the authenticity, and wanted to interview me for a piece on young entrepreneurs changing the face of sustainability. I sat there rereading the message, stunned. No ad budget, no PR firm, no family name. Just my story, raw and real, reaching the right person. The article dropped a few days later. Everything exploded. Overnight, my DMs were full. Small eco-retailers asking for wholesale deals. Influencers offering collabs, customers thanking me for finally creating something real, but the cherry on top. Someone posted a side-by-side comparison on Twitter. My product and Zane's. Caption: one of these is built on passion, the other on polish. Guess which one sold out? It went viral. Hundreds of comments, thousands of shares. People started digging timelines, URLs, domain registration dates, and slowly the truth began leaking out. I was first. Not just with the idea, but with the execution. I never mentioned Zane by name. Never posted anything shady. I didn't have to. The internet did what it does best. Connected dots and lit fires. My cousin's Instagram went suspiciously quiet. His comment section, not so kind anymore. One person even wrote, "Funny how the visionary launched after the underdog." I just refreshed my dashboard and watched the sales keep climbing. But I knew this wasn't the end. This was just the turning point, because when you take something that was never yours, eventually it comes back to bite you. Zane's official launch was supposed to be a big deal. He had teased it for weeks. Glossy product shots, scheduled countdowns, even a smug behind-the-scenes reel with a rented studio and fake team shots. His comment section was full of heart emojis and fire gifs. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet. Not a word. I just watched. Then launch day came, and it was ... underwhelming. People noticed. The comments started small. Wait, isn't this that other guy's idea? Why is this $40 more for the same stuff? Y'all just copied the original and made it boring. And then came the one that tipped the scale. I bought the first version, way better quality and story. This feels fake. I woke up the next morning to find Zane trending, but not in the way he wanted. A Reddit thread had gone viral, dissecting both businesses. It included screenshots, timestamps, and even a quote from my original TikTok. The internet had basically done a full forensic investigation. Zane panicked. That evening, I got a call. I didn't pick up the first 2 times. But on the third, I answered. "Are you happy?" He snapped. "You've made this a competition." I kept my voice steady. "You made it a theft." I just responded. He paused, breathing heavy. "You're embarrassing the family. My parents are getting calls. Yours too." I let the silence hang. Then said, "Maybe you should have thought of that before stealing my idea." Clicky hung up. I sat there, staring at the screen, heart pounding. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear, calm. Centered. Zane single quotes, as Empire had a cracked foundation built on ego, not effort. And now it was crumbling. But the worst part, the family still hadn't taken sides. That was about to change. I thought the silence from my parents meant they were finally starting to get it. That maybe, just maybe, they'd seen how hard I worked. How the public was rallying behind me. How Zane's version was unraveling under scrutiny. I expected a phone call, or at least a message. Something like, "We're proud of you." Or even, "You were right." Instead, I got a group text. From my mom, "We need to talk. Tonight, come home." When I walked through the door, the tension hit like a wall. My parents sat at the dining table, faces tight, hands folded like they were waiting for a job applicant. My dad didn't waste time. "You need to take your sight down." I blinked. "What?" "You've humiliated the family," he said coldly. "Zane's parents are furious. People are talking. There's drama in the community. This isn't the kind of attention we want." I looked at my mom, waiting for her to jump and defend me. But she just whispered, "It's gone too far, honey. You think I caused this? I said, my voice cracking. He stole from me. He copied my idea. And I just built mine anyway. And I'm the problem? You're dividing the family, my dad snapped. We raised you better than this. That's when it hit me. They didn't just take Zane's side. They always had. I stood there for a long moment, heart pounding in my ears. Then I said the words I didn't think I ever would. If backing the truth is what divides this family, then maybe it should be divided. I left without looking back, but once I got in the car, I broke down. Ugly tears. The kind that come from a place deeper than anger. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was abandonment. And for the first time, I truly felt alone. After that night, I went completely silent. No calls, no texts, no updates. I needed distance, not just from my parents, but from the noise, the expectations, the ache of trying to be understood. At first, it felt like grief. I'd catch myself staring at old family photos or scrolling through messages I couldn't bring myself to delete. The part of me that still wanted their approval kept whispering, they'll come around. But another voice, calmer, sharper, said, stop waiting. Build without them. So I did. Days turned into weeks, and my focus became absolute. I channeled every ounce of that pain into momentum. I rebuilt my website, refined the packaging, streamlined operations. Orders were flooding in faster than I could handle. So I hired 2 part-time helpers, people who actually believed in what I was doing. I stopped comparing myself to Zane. Instead, I compared myself to who I was yesterday. I'd wake up before sunrise, make coffee, and plan my day down to the minute. I started journaling again, not about anger, but gratitude. The silence that once hurt now felt like peace. And in that peace, my business started to bloom. Collaborations rolled in. Small retailers began carrying my kits. One local newspaper ran a story titled, "The Underdog Who Outsmarted the System." It wasn't just about sales anymore. It was about control of my time, my emotions, my purpose. Sometimes, when I saw my parents' number flash on my phone, I hesitated. I could answer, hear the same excuses, the same tone of disappointment disguised as concern. But then I'd look around at the workspace I built, the boxes ready to ship, the logo that represented me, and I'd silence the call. Because I'd realized something powerful. Peace is louder than validation. And for the first time, my silence was winning. I was in the middle of packing a wholesale order when the email came in. Subject: Morning Spotlight. Feature request. Young Entrepreneur Series. I clicked it, half expecting spam, but it was real. A producer from a national morning show had stumbled across the local newspaper article. They wanted to feature me in a segment about young disruptors redefining sustainable living. My hands literally stopped moving. This wasn't a TikTok shout-out or a blog mention. This was national television. They offered to fly me out, cover hotel expenses, and do a full sit-down interview. Just me. My story. My brand, I didn't even tell anyone. I packed my own bags, flew out quietly, and showed up with nothing but a duffel bag and my samples. When the cameras rolled, I didn't script anything. I just told the truth. About the idea. The betrayal, the rebuild. The burn that became fuel. When the segment aired, my inbox exploded. Within 24 hours, 2 major eco-retail chains reached out. A publisher asked if I'd be open to writing a book. A well-known sustainability influencer DME. Let's collab. Your story hits hard. I was trending on LinkedIn. People I didn't even know were tagging me, reposting my journey. Customers started calling me the real one in comment sections. And then, the messages came. From my parents, from my aunt, even from Zane. We saw the interview. You looked good. Proud of you. Let's catch up soon. I stared at those texts like they were written in a foreign language. Not because they were kind, but because they were too late. They didn't cheer for me when I had nothing. Now that I was something, they suddenly remembered how to clap. And that realization. It didn't hurt. It empowered me, asterisk. The next time I saw them was at my cousin Alina's wedding. Big venue. Expensive decor. Everyone in designer outfits and fake smiles. The kind of event where appearances meant more than honesty. I wasn't planning to go. But part of me wanted to look them all in the eye. Not out of spite, but curiosity. I wanted to see if they'd pretend nothing happened. They did. My mom came up first, hugging me like we hadn't gone months without speaking. "You've been doing well," she said, almost surprised. "The whole family's talking about your segment." My dad joined in. "You really showed initiative," he said, like I'd finally done something worthy of his attention. Zane hovered at a distance. He looked smaller. Not physically, but his presence. The same guy who once dominated every room now avoided my gaze. Eventually, he walked over and offered a stiff nod. "Congrats," he muttered. "Looks like you won." I didn't say anything at first. I just looked at him, really looked at him. "Then," I replied calmly, "I wasn't competing. I was surviving." It shut him up. Throughout the night, relatives came over in waves, some awkward, some flattering, all trying to rewrite history with compliments. My aunt even joked, "Maybe it all worked out for the best, huh?" I smiled politely, but inside I felt detached. Like I was watching someone else's party, because I wasn't one of them anymore. I wasn't the invisible kid, the backup plan, the creative type. I was the one who did the work when no one believed. When the DJ called for family photos, my mom gestured for me to join. I declined. "I have an early flight tomorrow," I said, and just like that, I walked out. Call. Whole. The applause didn't mean anything anymore, because I didn't need their spotlight. I'd already built my own. It's been a year since that wedding. I moved cities, got a bigger space for shipping and production, hired a small, tight-knit team who actually give a damn. My brand now has shelf space in 5 regional stores and counting. But more than the numbers, it's the freedom. I wake up excited. I make my own schedule. I don't answer to anyone who doesn't see me. My parents still reach out sometimes. My mom sends articles she thinks I'll like. My dad texts things like, "Proud of what you've built," but I keep it surface level, cordial, distant. Because the truth is, I made peace with something important. They may never apologize. They may never understand. And that's okay. Closure isn't something you wait for. It's something you choose to build when the door slams shut in your face. Some nights, I sit by the window with a mug of tea and reread old journal entries. The ones filled with rage, pain, disbelief. I don't delete them. They remind me of the fire I came from. And every now and then, I get an order from someone who says, "Your story inspired me. I finally launched my idea because of you. Thank you for showing me it's possible." It's worth more than any family compliment, more than any fake applause. They gave away my idea. They underestimated me. They tried to fold me into someone else's dream, but they couldn't steal my resilience. They couldn't copy my purpose, and they sure as hell couldn't match my execution. So no, I didn't get closure from them. I didn't need to, because I found something better. Peace, purpose, and the power of proving yourself right.